Good afternoon, everyone. This is Abhimanyu Arora. Thank you for taking out time this afternoon for the webinar. Uh, I have with me Mr. Samir Bhandari, who is our co-founder and CFO. Before the introduction of Samir, I'd like to just present you the format of the webinar today. What we have done is we have gone through our last 10 to 15 webinars and picked up approximately 15 odd questions, which have been repeated questions for the entire community who is present here. We like to explain and probably represent the FAQs in front of you. In addition to this, we will as well highlight a bit of our last transaction, which is running under the fractional ownership, which is basically the Thane property. And then we will surely talk about the FAQs. So if you have any questions, request you to please, you can put in your questions even now. We'll try to run this presentation for only 25 odd minutes, and then we'll take care of the FAQs. So welcome to the webinar of Investors Invest Smarter in Commercial Real Estate. So as I mentioned, I have Mr. Samir Bhandari, our co-founder and CFO with us. He was actually the managing director, co-chairing global markets in sales in Muda. He was the head of Asia ex-Japan, Nomura, Singapore. He was as well the managing director of JP Morgan, director UBS, and of course, he started with career with AVP with Bank of America, where he was looking at the Mumbai and Hong Kong market. He's actually the IIM Ahmedabad and chartered accountant batch 87. So Samir, since you're there, I'd really like you to please join in. If you can just talk about yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Abhimanyu, and good afternoon, everyone. As Abhimanyu pointed out, I was a career banker before I joined hBits. I joined hBits 2.5 years back to accelerate growth, and I joined as the co-founder and CFO. And the objective really is to give the best alternate asset class to investors like you to make sure that you are comfortable investing in the kind of asset class which we are giving. Um, so just talking a bit around hBits before I pass it on to Abhimanyu. hBits is a 6-year-old company founded by Shiv Parekh. Shiv has an MBA from Harvard and an undergrad in physics from Stanford. He's a second-time founder. He earlier founded Workcloth, which was a co-working space, and then after finishing his MBA from Harvard, he formed hBits almost 6 years back. So just talking a bit about hBits, we have assets under management of 500 crores. We expect this to rise to 1,500 crores in a year's time, and 10,000 crores in 4 to 5 years. We are one of the few real estate players which have actually exited a property at a IRR of 17.54%. And this was much higher than what we had actually indicated we would achieve. As we speak, we have a pipeline of more than 20,000 crores. We are evaluating almost on a daily basis transactions, but the actual hit rate, I would say, is just around 1%, since we are very, very careful on the properties we take on a platform. Today, you'll be proud to know that we have more than 125,000 registered users on our platform and close to 1,000 investors who've actually invested in our properties. The slide also shows the education and the team experience. I've worked with the major banks. There are people who work with Motilal, people who work with Farmeasy. So we have a wide area of experience in our company.
Great. Thank you, Samir. Well, you highlighted one of the most important key skills when we started off a journey. Though I was the one of the first employees at hBits, this news of the exit came very, nice in the, entire vertical of fractional ownership space in the country. So as Samir correctly mentioned, that what we had mentioned was lower. So just as a clear number specification, on that particular brochure, we had mentioned targeted IRR to be 15.54, and we delivered 17.54%. Our credentials lined as an organization is that, as Samir correctly mentioned, that, Shiv was the second time founder. And if you see Workloft is mentioned over here, it was a co-working space started by Shiv. Raycon is basically an entity which is an experience coming as a legacy uh, to overall 35 years experience. So Raycon industry is basically only and only to complete commercial real estate development, construction, and leasing, which is basically passed on or is basically coming from the legacy of experience from Shiv's background. Uh, as we grow, and we always chose to have the best partner and the ecosystem in place. So follow all our products which we have done in fraction ownership. Our banking partners are ICICI Bank. Taxation partners are Deloitte and PwC. Our leasing partners are JLL, Cushman & Colliers, and CBREs of the world. Valuation partner is JLL. Legal is again one of a very important framework which we look at very closely. Hence, we need to choose the best. So, if you see these five names over here, Shardul Amarchand, Sayan Manchan, Mangaldas, Wadia Gandhi, DSK Legal Trial, these are the top five law firms in the country. CRE matrix is our data point. So, whatever pointers or the numbers which you'll see in the slides ahead are actually authentic and valid data come from CRE matrix. Our trusteeship company is universal, and we work on a technology of Lead Square, AWS, Zoho, and Host. Today, what we have done as at the starting of the webinar, I mentioned that we will talk about certain questions which were picked up in last 10 to 15 webinars. We have collated that. So let's understand a bit more what the questions were and understanding fraction ownership, SM REIT, and REIT. How does fraction ownership in commercial real estate differ from SM REIT and REITs? As a matter of example, if I have to talk about fraction ownership, actually allows investors to directly own a share of a commercial property, typically pre-lease grade offices. So in fraction ownership, we only deal into pre-lease commercial property where the property is ready, OC is received, and tenant has already come in. Now, this is going to be migrated to SM REITs, wherein, as per the SEBI guideline, it states that the minimum ticket valuation of the property should be 50 crores to a maximum of 500 crores. In public REITs or REITs which are otherwise, they start with 500 crores. Samir, if you like to add anything on the REIT, because you are moreover in the global market section, and you've been taking care of it. And how do you see a bit about SM REIT, how it's been talked about, and a little bit about what we discussed even the last time, how SM REIT is going to be as good as a focus REITs in US.
Sure. So when we talk about fractional ownership, right, fractional ownership can be fractional ownership of commercial, it can be fractional ownership of residential, it can be fractional ownership of it can be fractional ownership of any villa you own in Goa. It can be a fractional ownership of art. Uh, when we talk about SM REITs, we are really talking only about commercial properties. And when I talk about commercial, it could be offices, it could be data centers, it could be warehouses. And it's a very focused REIT because you effectively take one property and put it in one SPV, as compared to public REITs. Public REITs typically will have more than one property. In fact, 20% of their assets are also under construction. Whereas in the case of SM REIT, it's very focused only on one property, and which is one of the reasons why I feel focus REITs tend to do a lot better than public REITs. The Another very good difference here is the SM REITs units are going to be listed on the main board exchange, which then would obviously give you liquidity. So that's really the main difference, I would say, between fractional and SM REITs.
So will SM REITs lead to the end of fraction ownership, or will both models coexist? Well, that's been a question which has been asked by a lot of investors. Well, both will coexist, whereas fraction ownership gives direct property investment, while SM REIT provide liquidity and diversification. We at hBits would like to have and coexist in both of them, but surely, as we all know, SM REIT will be more of an IPO-based business. Just as a clarity for all our investors, all the assets which have been currently running or in the past will be all migrated to the SM REIT, as Samir mentioned, on the main board. And I guess typically, as we see, that it should not take more than 3 months from now, or maybe maximum 4 months from now. What are the key risks associated with fractional investment in commercial real estate? Well, as the industry is new, we came to know about this particular subject, and we have created this particular vertical. Uh, we figured out certain risks, but as a matter of fact, over a period of time, we have mitigated the risk to a great amount of levels. Like if I have to talk about liquidity, well, longer time period to sell compared to stocks. Market fluctuations, rents and property value depend on market demand. SM REITs coming into picture with a click of a button, you can actually sell your proportion of units. Unlike stock market investment, fractional investments are illiquid. If an investor is in a 50 crore, this is just an example. And of course, at the end of this particular presentation, we will surely share this presentation as well with you. So this becomes a little more liquid. This becomes is regulated because it has got a stamp of SEBI. So become a little more confidence to all our investors and the community of investors which we have with us today. Why would an owner sell a pre-lease commercial property and what makes it an attractive investment? Typically, what we have seen that who are the people who sell their pre, because a lot of questions come from our investors that why is the person or the person selling that particular property if it's giving such excellent returns? Well, there are generally two types of people who or two people who sell their properties. A is generally the investors who have made their money, they want to book profits and they sell this particular thing to the fractional ownership or maybe in the future to SMEs. And second is of course the builders who create a particular proposition, release it, and they sell it because they want to have a requirement of capital to invest into another upcoming opportunities with them. How are existing fractional ownership properties valued below 50 crores migrated to SM REIT? Well, there are two particular sections which I'll talk about in this particular example as well as. So, if you would have seen in the past, we have had assets which were 30 crores, 40 crores, 18 crores, 45 crores. Well, as per the SM REIT license, how it says is that going forward, it's going to be 50 crore plus assets only. Well, we can surely club two assets under the one single SPV, but it should have certain specification, could be in the same properties, could be in the same building. That is one thing. And any properties which have done before receiving an SM REIT license can all be migrated without as an exception case. So as I mentioned earlier, all the assets will be migrated to the SM REIT main board. Returns, taxation, and investment horizon. What are the expected returns from fractional ownership and SM REITs? If I happen to talk about this, typically we talk about 8 to 9% annually, which is the rental yield. We talk about capital appreciation of around 6 to 9%, which generally turns out to an IRR of around 14 to 18% per year. It's of course higher than the FD rates. And just to let you know all that the comparison today is closest to the fixed deposit because this is a fixed income cash flow money coming into your account as it has got two kind of cash flow, which is a rental coming into your account every month. And once we exit of this property after the between 4 to 6 years, the property appreciation as well comes to you. What is the tax treatment for rental income and capital gains? I guess this is a technical question. Of course, I know the answer, but I like Sameer to just, talk about it.
So presently, what we are doing is obviously the rental income, which is being paid to the investor, is being taxed at the investor's slab rate. And as and when we exit the property, the long-term capital gains are going to be taxed at 12.5% after 1 year. Uh, and but in the whole SM REIT gamut, once the property is listed on the exchange, the long-term capital gain will pretty much remain the same. But the rental income which you will be getting, which will could be treated as dividend income and would be taxed at a much lower slab rate. The discussions are still going on with SEBI, but I'm fairly certain that the tax rate on your income will be much less than the income which is taxed at the rate which it's taxed today.
True. Thank you, Sameer. The next question, will post-tax IRR change if property is converted to an SM REIT? Well, as Sameer rightly mentioned and actually mentioned that there'll be a kind of a taxation which is looking better. It's going to be potentially same or higher rental yields or after conversion. So yes, post-tax IRR can change and it will be either the same or it will go higher. Exit strategy and liquidity. What are the exit options before the lock-in period ends? Just to let you know, this is a lock-in period which we are talking about, not for you. Uh, there is no lock-in period for you. What we talk about here is basically the lock-in period for the tenants. As I mentioned, there is no lock-in period. Investors can sell to secondary buyers, but liquidity depends on demand. Example, so today, as a fractional ownership space, when you happen to reach us and we get you a new buyer for the particular thing, in SM REIT, it's basically going to be on the main board when you click on a button sell, and there'll be a demand and there'll be a buyer present, and the money comes into your account with a simple transfer of shares or CCDs, how the it will look in the future. Who buys these properties when investors exit after 5 years? Well, that's a great question, which actually always came across, but like to just put across. Today, we are not just buying this property to sell or probably creating a scheme for you, but we are actually doing a proper due diligence on these property because after 5 years, we have to sell this property as well for you. So buyers include institutional investors, other retail investors, or SM REIT conversions. It could be basically some mutual funds, it could be some PMS, it could be some AIFs who would absorb such kind of our fractional ownership space. Market trends and investment landscape. What is the outlook of the Indian commercial real estate market? On this particular subject, I'll ask Samir to talk about because with the recent change in the federal rate cut, he can highlight a bit about that and how the commercial real estate market would look like in the coming future.
Sure. So effectively, given the fact that in India, work from home is not that popular, and the main reason actually being is that homes are quite small as compared to homes in the US, and just working at home is not feasible. So pretty much all the people have started working from office. There are select places like Bangalore where still a bit of work from home is there, probably 30%, but 70% people are working from office. So that's a very positive thing where most of the people are working in office. So that's one. The demand in grade A office is rising. There are a lot of global MNCs who have been coming into India. I mean, you must have read that Apple has rented a place in Bandra, and they paid the top end of the rent. The absorption rates in most of the main cities is very high, and we've actually seen rentals go up quite a lot across. I would say Bangalore, Mumbai, and the top cities. So I'm actually very hopeful about this market. I do think this market continues to grow between 15 to 20%. And the demand for grade A commercial real estate is actually just going to explode with more and more foreign companies coming in and taking good commercial real estate. Thank you, Abhi.
Samir, I was just discussing with someone and could be information for everyone. If we go back around a decade or probably 2 decades back, when the rupee depreciation or anything, a dollar kind of a thing, when rentals were there that time at rupees, probably 50 rupees a square feet, and today it is probably 80 rupees a square feet. Is the fluctuation of dollar as well, probably depreciation of some kind of thing, as well help for the MNCs to just park money and get into Indian market?
Yeah, absolutely. Because foreigners, when they come in, they count everything in dollars. So today the rentals on an average are at $1 per square foot, right? So
Hmm.
it's 85 to $90 on an average, I would say. If you compare this to New York, the main Fifth Avenue is close to $60 per square foot, and in some of the other areas in the US, it's 25 to $30. So obviously, with the rupee depreciating, the multinationals actually benefit in the amount of money which is actually going in rental. So that has also actually helped them, and that's one of the reasons also they'll continue to come in and set up offices in India.
Hmm. Great. Just adding a point over there. If you look at the global markets, I guess the Indian currency has depreciated the least. And looking into that, still there is a very good approach for the MNCs to come and invest in India and be a part of the commercial real estate market. Will real estate market slow down following stock market trends? Uh, Slowing down, no. Commercial real estate markets are more resilient due to long-term lease structures, unlike the volatile of the stock market. As we all know, the asset class which we are talking about is the commercial real estate. In stock market, it's equity. So there are, certain parameters how it goes up and down. But in this particular thing, there'll be, as we all know, the history of properties. There's been always been a appreciation, capital appreciation. So we're going to be seeing long-term increase in the trends of the returns. When can we expect 9% plus yield assets in commercial real estate market? Well, this talks about a bit about interest rates. As we all know that, when the interest rates in the FD rates goes up, the demand on the other asset classes as well becomes higher. So commercial real estate market will automatically have a higher interest rate when the FD rates as well go up. Sorry. Will remote work reduce demand for office spaces? Well, Samir has already answered this particular question. Not significantly. Large corporations prefer hybrid workspaces, and India's outsourcing industry continues to drive office demand. Can HUFs and private companies invest in fractional ownership or SM REITs? Well, as an overall thing, I like to just put across not only HUFs or private companies like LLP or proprietorship or private limited companies, even the limited companies, the NGOs, the NRIs. If I have to talk about today, the composition of 35% of our business come from NRI market. We have investors coming from NGOs, trustees, any form of individual body can invest with us. With SM REIT coming into structure, I just like to check with Sameer that even the foreign citizens can invest with us.
That is correct.
Perfect. So that's how. So it's going to be a much more space where I guess we're opening a Pandora's box, and people will look like to invest with us, as in the fractional SM REIT thing under the commercial list. How the future is looking very bright. Well, that was about the questions which have been always, talked about in the last 10 to 15 webinars. Uh, of course, we will welcome more questions if you can put in the FAQs right now. But before we end and we move towards the FAQ, I'd like to highlight this particular asset, which is currently under the investment scenario, and it is live. Well, I guess it's just the last 7, maximum 8 days, which is left for this particular asset to be totally funded. We are approximately 85% sold out on this particular property. If you see this particular property, it is based out in uh, Thane, Wagle Estate, one of the prominent locations after BKC. Building is actually constructed by Usher Group. It's 2 basement, ground, and 11 floors. And we have picked up this asset on the 10th floor right side. It's a pre-lease commercial property wherein the tenant is Teleperformance. Well, I'm just covering this particular page, and then I'll take you through the particular slides. The investment, when I talk about the pre-lease commercial property, the entry yield is 8.75%. The average yield is around 8.71% for 5 years. Expected targeted IRR is 15.16%. Just to let you know, it is not just the agreement tenure of 60 months, but the tenant lock-in period is as well for 60 months. Again, I'm just repeating, it's the tenant's lock-in period for 60 months. And we're talking about the minimum investment of 30 lakhs. As I mentioned, it's a 2 basement, ground, and 11 floors. Very important part, which I've always talked about in this particular presentation. If you look at the last parameter, which says asset efficiency, generally what we see in Mumbai, the asset efficiency from super built up to carpet is generally around 70, maybe between 60 to 70%. And we were happy to have this particular asset. The asset efficiency in this particular product is 80%, which is again a very big parameter. When a new buyer comes in after 5 years, it looks at this particular parameter as well. The building is 100% occupied. This is just a slide for people who are outside Mumbai and they are not aware of the landscapes. The Eastern Express Highway is around 1.5 kilometers away. Thane railway station is around 3.9 kilometers away. Mumbai International Airport is around 27 kilometers away. Wagle Estate, which is basically which we are talking about, is the Wagle is just 1.3 kilometers away. These are the asset photos: building facade, entrance, driveway, waiting area, lobby area, open car park. And as we always say, that we believe in getting you only the grade A properties with A grade tenants. Tenant which we are talking about in this particular location are all Raymond, Cipla, Crompton Greaves, Kotak, DHL, and TCS of the world. How we talk about this particular thing, and I like to as well just put across a topic right away. The next webinar which we'll be talking about is going to be just purely on how we do the acquisition of the property. We do deal sourcing. We'll, as in, to give you an example, if we have approximately 100 properties in our selection, we do the evaluation, internal evaluation. We shortlist it, and then we look at the particular checkpoints, looking at basic legal and title, do a due diligence on that. And maybe out of 100 properties, we select one, or maybe out of 200 property, we select one property and get it for you. And just to add in a point, Mumbai has been our home ground. And since our corporate office and registered office is based out of Mumbai, so we know this particular location pretty well. Uh, a good important talk about this particular asset is that, which I like to highlight because this is a concise information memo. Uh, the valuation report of this property is around 18,500 rupees a square feet. Whereas we have got this deal for you at a pricing at a 15,252 rupees a square feet, which is a good 15 to 18% discount to current market values. And this is a non-MMRDA property. It's a freehold property, just to let you know. It's very easy, and there are only two things for which our customers or investors can invest with us. How? A, they can just log in, and they just need a laptop and an internet connection to invest with us. Well, you can just go to a website which is hbits.co, complete your KYC. One point to be added over here, we just added one more thing, that give an example. If person A is invested with us today, and tomorrow he would like to invest on his HUF, or probably name of his wife, or tomorrow in name of his children, please don't create a separate account. We have one stop view for all the accounts. On the top right side, you'll see your name, and you can create add link account over there. And that is how you can see all your investments under one particular login. Well, you do your KYC, sign a document called EOI, which is called expression of interest. Expression of interest is basically expressing your interest of a particular slot in this particular opportunity, and just by paying 5% of the money. Give an example, if you're parking 1 crore, you have to just transfer 5 lakhs. Moment we are 100% funded, we send across a legal document, which is called the PAS4 document, PAS4, numeric 4 document, and send across to you, which will showcase your CCDs, shares, property, SPV, structure, everything, and your PAN card, your Aadhaar card details, your nominee, your bank account details, where the money is going to be transferred every month. And then once this is done, the property is registered, you start receiving rental incomes into your account every month. And of course, after between 4 to 6 years, when we exit of this particular property, we give you the property appreciation as well. That's how the structure looks like. We create a particular SPV. Generally, at this moment, since it's under the fraction ownership platform, we created another PVT Limited. You are, as a customer, going to be the owner of this particular SPV. Indirectly, the property is registered on this particular SPV as well. You are the shareholder of this. So you are surely a indirect owner of this particular property. Like if I talk about this particular property, you can very well pass by and say that I am a 1% owner to this property, or a 2% owner to this particular property. These are the properties which we have done in past. Uh, and we believe in getting the right kind of a tenants. Ingenico, Impayments, IFL, Viante, ATPI, ICICI Bank, Citel. Well, just to let you know, there are two more good tenants which we could here see over here is Microsoft, Toyota. Uh, since I've not covered about the tenant in this particular proposition, I'd like to just take another 1 minute. Tenant in this Mumbai opportunity, which I've just mentioned about the Thane, tenant is Teleperformance. It's basically a 10 billion euro company. They have been in this property for last 10 years. This was their third renewal. They have picked up a 3 lakh square foot in the entire building, and they've been there for a long while. We have just picked up the 10th floor, right, which is just 37,500 square feet. So they are here for a longer time, maybe another 5, 10, 15, 30 years. So we have mitigated that particular risk on doing the due diligence and the quality of the particular building. Well, these are two fees which we work on. 1% is the management fees, which we charge annually. 15% over 10% IRR is our performance fee at the time, only at the time of the exit. Well, those days have gone when we just provide you a bit of service, but for charging you, we have to provide you returns as well. So if you get returns, then we charge you. Otherwise, we don't charge you at all. So there is a skin in the game as well for us. In the early part of the webinar, when we talked about, so Sami did talk about Shiv. So that's Shiv. In addition to that, just like to put two particular things over here. So Shiv is as well Forbes 30 under Asia 30 under 30 2022 and Business World Disrupt 30 under 30 2022. Well, you can always reach out us at info@hbits.co or log into hbits.co, create your login over there, and you'll be able to see your designated investment manager. You can reach us on this particular number and as well request you to follow up for regular updates on LinkedIn or Insta. Well, I'll leave this particular thing to us and I'll just quickly go to the presentation or probably the FAQs. Samir, if you can.
Abhimanyu, why don't I take care of the
Exactly.
Q&A? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. One question by Mayank. Explain the lock-in period because it says we can exit anytime. Yes, Mayank. When we were talking about the lock-in period, that was for the tenant. The tenant in this property has a 5-year lock-in. You as an investor can exit anytime. Can I invest with 1 lakh only? No, you can't. Under the SM REIT regulation, the minimum amount is going to be 10 lakhs. We are very hopeful then that in a few years, definitely this amount will come down to 1 lakh or even less. There's a question around operations. We'll be happy to take this offline. We'll make sure that if you have any issues, we can definitely resolve these issues. There's a question from Shivam. He said 50 lakhs or 1 crore in an illiquid asset as compared to liquid listed shares and mutual funds. Just want to know that what exit strategy is used so that I have my funds back with appreciation after 5 years. In the new SM REIT regulation, Shivam, the units are going to be listed on the main board exchange, either the BSE or the NSE. So you can actually exit anytime, anytime you want to. And typically the NAV is going to be published on a yearly basis. And the NAV is typically going to be by one of the big 4 or 5. So definitely you could exit even before the 5 years. After the 5 years or 6 years, once we have exited the property, that's when you get absolute full appreciation of the property, and that you could exit when we actually exit the property. When is the SM REIT license coming? You mentioned 4 to 6 weeks. Can you give a proper date? Well, whoever this person is, unfortunately, we are dependent on SEBI to give the license. And SEBI being a government entity, they obviously have their own rules and regulations. So they've been asking a lot of questions, which we've all answered. So I would presume that we should be getting the license within Feb. What is HUF? HUF is Hindu Undivided Family. When we move to SM REIT, there's a question from Nitin. When we move to SM REIT, are you planning to publish NAV of the asset, which gives a real-time view of the asset value or individual share? Yes. What SEBI has said is once we move to SM REIT, every year we have to value the property at least once. We may decide to value it even more than once, but definitely we have to do it at least once a year. SM REIT is launching. When is your first SM REIT getting launched, IPO'd? As I said, we are just waiting for a license. Once we get the license, we will be doing the IPO in one of our properties. Sujay, I think I've answered that. When is SM REIT going to come through hBits? Just waiting for the license from SEBI. As I said, it's a government entity. We're just waiting for the license. Once the license comes, we have identified a few properties which will then go through the IPO process. Just to also highlight, the IPO process is going to be very different from the fractional process. The IPO is going to be open for 4 days. and you'll have to put your money is going to be blocked. It's all going to be done through DMAT, like a proper IPO process. There's a question from Anand: process for a nominee to claim in case of any uncertainty. Could you please explain whether the nominee is required to visit your office in person or if the process can be completed online? This process can be completed online, and especially now with the SM REIT coming, this is all going to be moving to the exchange and in DMAT format. AB, you want to take this question? The square feet proportion of the 30 lakhs, the value?
Uh, so what is the square feet proportion in the 30 lakhs, the value of total SPV and percentage holding at 30 lakhs? So in fraction ownership, basically we work on the percentage ownership and not on the square feet basis. So when we talk about investment of 30 lakhs, that includes stamp duty, registration, legal fees, your property tax for the next 5 years and everything. Well, to talk about this particular opportunity, which is currently running, it's a total ticket size of a property is 55 crore. So if we are looking forward to own a 1% proposition, so that is around 55 lakhs. But just putting a comment over here, since in assemblies, we can only take in the multiples of 10 lakh. So you can choose to park 50 lakhs or 60 lakhs. Abhishek Chatterjee, uh, when will the listed SM REIT be impacted by the market volatility, or is the price or sell as per the NAV declared? Well, it is as well, since the asset class is property, we will be doing the valuation of the property every 1 year, which Sameer just mentioned. So it will be only impacted by the valuation over the period of years. Mr. Abdul Ghafoor have asked, is there any tax difference between NRI and resident Indian? Yes, there is a difference, but it is only subject for to us if you can provide us the TRC certificate, which is called the tax residential certificate, and it is as per the DTAA, which is double tax avoidance agreement. How to get that particular TRC is that you can just go online and get available TRC from your particular resident country. Mr. Santosh Subramanian.
In fact, just to add to AB's point, I'm a resident of Singapore, so I got a TRC from the government, and the tax deducted at source is now only 10% for me.
Right. Well, for others, since, just adding one more point over there, for people who are resident Indians, and if they are looking forward to invest, let's say, in the family member name where there is a 0% tax liability, they can as well submit us a Form 16, Form 60F, G or H, and even the 10% TDS will not be deducted. Mr. Santosh Raman has asked, can we expect a scenario where we do not see a monthly rental yield due to abrupt exit of the tenant without a fill up with another tenant? Well, as of now, for this particular proposition and for any other proposition, we like to mitigate the risk to the fullest. For this property, we are talking about a 5-year lease with a 5-year lock-in. So we have mitigated that particular risk. And if the tenant for this particular proposition looks forward to exit after 5 years, they will let us know at least a 1 year in advance. And that's 1 year advance is good enough time for us to get a new tenant over there. But looking at the longevity where it's a 3 lakh square feet picked up by then, this looks like not going to be a scenario at this point. What is the minimum investment price requirement? It's 30 lakhs.
No, that was 30 lakhs earlier in the
Earlier, and
fractional,
SMP
and now it's going to be 10 lakhs in SM REIT.
that is right. Sandhya Singhar, can we invest in Thane property just by investing 10 lakhs now? Well, yes, you can reach out to your investment manager. We look out at average running currently, and at that particular basis, we can surely look out for your investment as well. How difficult is to sold such commercial properties as they are worth 30 to 40 crores? Well, it is not difficult, Shivam, because the sweet spot for any kind of an investor, which we are talking about on HNI or AIF, is basically between 40 to probably 100 crores. And these are the people who actually absorb such beautiful properties. Anything which you like to add on this particular thing, Sameer?
Yeah, so right now we are, Shivam, seeing a lot of demand in India. In fact, for our existing properties, also, we're getting a lot of bids. And we are actually holding back because we think the property prices will actually go up further. So we don't really foresee any problem. And the buyers typically could be high net worth individuals, it could be funds, smaller funds, some larger funds, which have also been set up. So honestly, I don't think it's a problem at all. Let me take this other question. What would be the charges for migration? We are trying to see that the charges are minimum and trying to see if the SPVs can actually absorb the charges. So we're still working on it, but we obviously want to make sure that our investors don't have to bear too much of the charges. Will the dividend payout of the SM REIT be slightly less than the rental yield, and will the SM REIT dividend be monthly or quarterly? Most likely, it's going to be still monthly, and we do not expect it to be less than the rental yield. How does hBits gets revenue from this business? As we charge 1% per annum management fees, and on exit of the property, we charge 15% over a 10% hurdle rate, as mentioned earlier. What is the total square feet bought in the 55 crore from Nitin? Value bought in the SPV. How much is it, AV?
It's around 37,500 square feet, which is super built up area. And with the 80% asset efficiency, we can calculate the carpet area. Mr.
Thank you.
Nitin as well happened to ask is, do we need to mandatorily exit from the property when the property is sold after 5 years? Well, just to give you a little logic, Nitin sir, I know you very well. When we talk about a particular proposition, there are two common things of this particular SPV. Every single person in this SPV is an investor, number one, and all have come over here to invest and earn. So it's a common agenda. And I'm sure that people will only like to exit when we have achieved the targeted IRR. And we will be only getting your particular proposal when we achieve our targeted IRR. So it's good to actually churn your property and book your profits. And at that particular time, when we are helping you to exit that particular property with profits, we will surely have an additional property at that particular time to get you a more better potential investment opportunity at that particular time. On a wholesome view, it actually, that given example, if your 100 rupees is becoming 500 rupees, or let's say 100 rupees is becoming 200 rupees in 9 years, we are just helping you that 100 rupees becomes 200 rupees in 6 years, a shorter time. When will hBit get approval from SEBI, and how will be the rent be paid after SEBI approval? Well, it's since Sameer already mentioned, we are looking forward to get this particular license very soon, and it will be surely be informed to all of us and to you as investors. In addition to this, the question says that how will be the rent paid after SEBI approval? Well, it is only going to be monthly because rents are backed by the monthly rental agreement, so it will be paid out to you monthly as well. Mr. Abhishek Chatterjee, for SM REIT, do we see get capital appreciation? If yes, then how is the process of exiting the property completely when will happen? Again, a property target for this, the targeted IRR of 15.16%, taking an example of the current asset. If we achieve that, we'll be looking forward to get a new buyer, share the proposal with everyone as a shareholder, and after getting a 75% voting right, then only we'll get the exit the particular property, because you are actually the owner of that particular property.
And just to add, Abhishek, since these SM REIT units are going to be listed on the exchange, and we'll be publishing the NAV on a yearly basis, if the prices of the unit have gone up, you can actually exit on the exchange also. You don't have to wait for us to exit the overall property.
True.
Let me take this question by Naga. Would it be better to invest in REIT properties or its IPO stock? I'm not sure what this exact question is, but in the SM REIT, every property which we launch is going to be a separate IPO, and which is what I call a focus REIT. You can decide whether you want to actually put money in that. There are some other REITs also which are traded on the exchange, the larger REITs, but there the rental income or the dividend income which people are getting is much less than what we plan to give to our investors.
Well, we have
Sujoy is asking 1 crore investment monthly rental. This, I guess, Sujoy, we can you can talk to your investment advisor, and he'll be able to give you the exact rental which you would get. Naga, to you also, what would be the monthly rental? It will be basically around 8.5% per annum, which will be payable monthly.
So, just adding a point over there for everyone, as people are talking about calculations, you can choose the amount of investment, multiply that by 8.75%, and divide that by 12 months. That's your monthly payout, which we talked about. Of course, we like to give you the exact cash flow. The good part about this particular asset classes or this investment is you will get to know your next 5-year cash flow in advance before you even do the KYC. So please reach out to the investment managers and we like to share that particular thing. And of course, we have again a question, and I guess we're just running out of time. We thought of 45 minutes and cut off. We'll just take the last question. Mr. Anuj Setia, when will hBit? Yes, very soon, sir. License is on the way, and we'll be more than happy to share this great news not only for us, for everyone, and to all the community of investors at hBits. Thank you very much. And of course, last but not the least, I'm sure everyone would have seen some news around the market. We were funded, and I guess probably in the last, there could be some people who were not part of this webinar. Samir, if you could just highlight a bit about how we did our completed our fund, Series A. So,
Sure. We've done a Series A fundraise where hBits has raised 40 crores. This was raised from the Thakurse family. For people who live in Mumbai, they would know that the Thakurse family is a very old, renowned family. In fact, a lot of the roads are named the Thakurse mark. So they are a biggest supporter, and they've taken a reasonable stake in hBits.
well, that's been great news throughout, and always, and that has come from leadership of Shiv and of course Samir, how the company is growing. Well, just coming to the end of this particular presentation, let just to give you a big, quick summarize of the particular asset class again. We are already 85% sold out in this particular property. Please log into hbits.co, create your account, and invest with us. The entry price point is excellent. Never heard of 15,232 for a freehold non-MMRDA property in Thane Wagle Estate with the properties 100% occupied. Looking forward to all of you be a part of our portfolio. Thank you very much for taking out time again this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.